Okay, well, hello everybody, all three of you. Let's have Lydia do the mandala, please.
Hello, dear Lama Sumati. Вот огромная земля, наполненная ароматами благовоний, укрытая покрывалом из цветов. Великая гора, 4 континента, украшенные драгоценными камнями, солнцем и луной. В своем сознании я вижу их раем Будды и подношу их все тебе. И с этим деянием пусть каждое живое существо ощутит чистый мир. Идам гуру ратна мандала камнирета ями.
Okay, and let's have Anna, would you do refuge for us? Should be in Russian.
Yes, of course. I can do in Tibetan or in Russian.
Oh, Tibetan would be nice.
Tibetan, okay. Gevadi Gevokun Sunam Yeshe Tsogzog.
No, that's dedication.
Oh no, I messed up. Sashipuki, it was mandala. Sangye, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Sangye Chudang Tsoki Choknam La. Chancho Bardo Daknik Yapsu Chi. Daki Jinsok Gipei Sunam Ki. Drola Penchir Sangye Druparsho. Sangye Chudam Tsoki Choknam La. Chancho Bardo Daknik Yapsu Chi. Daki Jinsok Gipei Sunam Ki. Drola Penchir Sangye Druparsho. Санги чудом цоки чокнам ла, Джанчо барду дакник япсучи, Даки джинсо гипей сунам ки, Дрола пенчер санги трупаршок.
Thank you. Let's do some rejoicing. Lydia, what do you have to rejoice in today?
I'm rejoicing about my daughter, Sophia. She feels better this year rather than previous year during the trees blooming.
Allergies.
Yes, she had respiratory allergies last year, and she had obstructions, so she cannot breathe well. And this year she feels better. Of course, I could say that, it's cold and it's not a lot of this. Yes. But I believe that my seeds was changed, and each Tara session I do it for Sophia. So thank you very much, Holy Lama, for this practice.
Well, that's the way to think of it. It's what you're doing is a very great benefit for many beings, including your daughter. Now, if she starts to get allergies again, it doesn't mean it didn't work. It just means the karma's run out at this point. So very good. That's the way to be thinking about it, Lydia. That's how we've got to think about everything. Okay, Anna.
Hello, dear Lama Sumati. Hello, everyone. Thank you for possibility about my rejoicing. I want to rejoice about my practice. I got prostration practice maybe a year and a half. And today I counted that I have 21,000 prostrations for today. Just a couple days and will be 2,100. And it's so strange for me because when I started, I was sure that I can't do even 1,000. It was something unreal. But today I understand that I already have 21,000, and it's really possible to do 100,000. So I'm on the way.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
Well, you made a commitment and you're following your commitment. And that'll ripen with people honoring commitments to you down the road. So, excellent. Be sure to dedicate each time you finish. Okay, Svetlana.
Hello, dear Lama Sumati. Hello, everyone. Today I'd like to rejoice in my efforts to please people who are irritated by me, and and my efforts to not get angry a lot. Like, for example, my colleague, uh, in many situations when I'm talking something, I think is humorous, I think is joyful, and I try to make him happy and nice. He was like angry, and he was like even telling like, "Are you going to quarrel with me?" Or answering me in some very repulsive, very harsh way. So at lunchtime, I bought some sweets, marmalade, and like offered it to him and to all, so to make it easy. Yeah, and the second case was like I was maybe too grumpy in my conversation with parents, and today, like I uh, came to them, and they were offering food, but I was too grumpy, and then I decided, oh, like I can make them happy if I can stay. So, and yes, I like decided to choose not what my ego says, but what can make other people happy, and what can bring better result from the karmic way as well. So I
Good.
dedicate all these good efforts to total enlightenment for the sake of everyone.
Very good. How's we're going to work on time?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm again late these days. I need to work again.
Well, I think you need to do something about that. Well, give it a try. Try very hard. I like your nail polish, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Daria, what do you have to rejoice about?
Venerable Lama Sumati, I rejoice. Today I was in hairdresser. I think he's cut my
Oh, a hairdresser.
yeah,
Yeah, looks very nice.
and no, she color me, and I asked, please, could you color maybe some blonde without
Oops.
pink? But after they stay pink, no, it's not. And I tried stop irritate, and she tried do everything with my hair. And when I'm rejoiced because when I come back home, I say, Mama, looked, it's very interesting. I remember what say Shantideva. If you can do something, why you're irritated, and we can't do this, why you're irritated? And okay, I try to do all my best with my hair.
Well, I like it, but it certainly is not blonde.
Yeah.
Let's perceive what having good knowledge of Shantideva's teachings, you have something you can pull out and use. So that's really sweet. I'm glad that worked out for you. Okay, Areta, do you have anything to rejoice in?
I
don't hear you.
rejoice. I rejoice that I see you, and I can interpret you. That I have a physical capability to do that in light and electricity. I rejoice.
Well, very good. Speaking of light and electricity, ours came back on at about 10:15. Then I got a message from an internet company that it was down, but obviously it's still back up. Today I am off. I haven't taken my medication since yesterday morning. I'm going in to see my neurologist today, and she wanted to do tests with me not on the medication, if I could tolerate it. So far, I don't see any difference. So that may mean I don't need to take all that medicine, or it just means it takes more than a day for the effects to wear off. But last night was pretty difficult for my heart was starting to act up again, which has nothing to do with the medication that I'm aware of. But anyway, so we're going to give a shot at Class 8, and if it's confusing to you, it was confusing to me. And I tried very hard over 4 days to make it less confusing. So, here we go. Class 8, classic proof of emptiness. So even our awareness of ourselves is a projection forced onto us by our karma, and it's laid out on data, just like everything else. When you become an arhat, having destroyed all your mental afflictions, your past karma is then forcing you to project a mind free of mental afflictions. There is one step left. Your karma for omniscience ripens, and you project all the moments of all consciousness, all moments of consciousness as omniscience. Now obviously you have to have bodhicitta in your heart in order to make it to total enlightenment. This is no different than projecting pen onto some data. It's no different, seeming simple, but it's obviously very powerful because that's how our world is created. Now Master Shantideva goes into some proofs of emptiness from the lineage of Arya Nagarjuna. I didn't count 5, but we're going to do the best we can with the major ones. A sliver of diamond. This proof answers the question why things work, not so much directly but indirectly, as is often the case. If all things are empty, why do they function? It's called a sliver of diamond because just as a sliver of diamond is equally as hard as any other sliver of diamond, equally as transparent, etc., each object has its own emptiness, and all emptinesses are equal. So if we can show the emptiness of the parts of a car, we can apply that to the emptiness of the parts of the mind, and so on. I don't understand my computer. It keeps doing this to me. Okay, what is the emptiness of having a job to make money to pay for your bills? What is the emptiness of paying money so you can get chocolate? What is the emptiness of nailing together 2 pieces of wood? Arya proves the emptiness of causation. All functioning things are empty because of the following 4 points. Let's go back to my questions. What is the emptiness of having a job to make money to pay your bills? What is the emptiness of paying money so you can get chocolate? Well, that's a good example. If I have money, will I always get chocolate? No. So money isn't the cause of my getting chocolate. The cause of my getting chocolate, the emptiness of my getting chocolate, is that it came from my giving someone in the past something they enjoyed eating. So when you stop and think about it, it's like the how and the why. The how you get chocolate may be paying, in a certain instance, could be paying money or being particularly nice to someone and they give you chocolate for your birthday. No hint. I'm not supposed to hint about things, remember? Anyway, but the why I'm getting chocolate is because I gave somebody something that pleased them in the past. What is the emptiness of nailing together 2 pieces of wood? Well, it seems to be the hammer hitting the nail, but it's my karma for having helped somebody construct something in the past that's ripening for me to be able to put 2 pieces of wood together. What's the emptiness of having a job to make money to pay your bills? Having the money to getting a job doesn't always give you the money, necessary money, but being generous to somebody else in the past is what gets you the money. So the point is not so much remembering the how and the why. I think that's the point. Okay, and Nagarjuna proves the emptiness of causation. All functioning things are empty because of the following 4 points. Things do not just happen by themselves. Nothing in our world is random. Everything that happens must have a cause that is separate by itself from it. A thing can't cause itself. Things do not come from something else in the way we think they do. Things are caused by something else. A nail driven into a piece of wood is caused by the hammer hitting it, which is driven by my arm and hand, which is caused by my intention to do it, etc. But the bottom line remains, it's working because I helped someone build something in the past. Everything that does something is able to do so because of something that came before. Our inner guardian says, actually, no. Things are not caused by other things in this way specifically. Giving money to the grocery store clerk is not the cause for getting chocolate. Why not? Because giving money to the grocery clerk won't always get you chocolate. So money cannot be the cause of getting chocolate. Some people get chocolate without giving money, like on Valentine's Day, or Christmas, or Easter. So, what's the cause for getting chocolate? Oh golly. If something is caused for something else, it must always cause that thing. So what is it that causes things? Karma. Karma from past deeds forces us to project the things causing other things in the way that they do. It's just simply karma. Being generous always ripens in you getting what you need. The time delay is what fools us. And that's something we never talk about. We talk about karma and emptiness, and we know about time delay. But time delay is what causes us to think things, in my opinion, think things are self-existent, because we don't see, with the time delay, we don't see the actions of our karma ripening in a time frame that will allow us to correlate the action. We get what we have seen ourselves do for others. Things do not happen by themselves or come from something else at the same time. This is because both numbers 1 and 2 above are true, so the combination must be true as well. If your guard takes you across town, it's the ripening of karma for every time you helped others get to places, every chance you get. Things neither happen by themselves nor come from something else. There is nothing that exists that comes from nothing. That seems pretty obvious to me. So the actual sliver of diamond proof goes like this. Consider everything inside or outside of you that functions. That's the statement. They are empty. The reason, because they do not come from themselves. They do not come from something else. They do not come from both themselves or something else. And they do not come from nothing. So let's make an example of a watermelon. So consider a watermelon. It is empty because it does not come from itself. It does not come from something else. It does not come from both itself or other. It does not come from nothing. Now, the old me would have said, that's crazy. Of course, watermelons come from seeds, which would be number 2. Obviously. Well, the new me says, watermelons, that should be well. Watermelons always come from Do watermelons always come from watermelon seeds? No, then it can't be the cause for watermelon. A watermelon seed could be dead. I don't know that it's dead, so I plant it and nothing happens. If it was truly the cause for watermelons, every watermelon seed would produce watermelons. And they don't produce corn, but they don't necessarily produce watermelon. Providing people with food in the past made the karma for me, well, I tell you, I just did not proof this well enough for me to have watermelon now. It seems obvious and it seems repetitive, but the problem is we've been living this illusion all for thousands and thousands of lives that things are self-existent. So we need to constantly remind ourselves that they aren't. Arya addresses the question, what is the relationship of the mind to instances of awareness? In other words, what is the relationship of mind to parts of the mind, instances of awareness? He uses a 7-step analysis of the cart. We have changed the cart into car, and for our purposes, car is the same as mind for this proof. Parts are moments of awareness. Now, where does cart come from? This was the analysis done before cars, so thousands of years ago, a cart was the equivalent to a car. This gets a little confusing. I tried to substitute mind and awareness in it and got lost. So, is the car equal to the parts? The parts themselves individually? Is the car its windshield or its wheels or the steering wheel? No. If it were, there would have to be as many cars as there are parts for the car. And that is silly. In our case, there's only one car there. So no, the car is not equal to the parts themselves. Is there a car that's totally unrelated to the parts? No. That would mean there would be a carness which is always present whether or not you took away all the parts. This is like the Western idea that a soul could exist independent of the body and mind, like a mind that could exist separate from instances of consciousness. So number 2 is not true. Is the concept of a car dependent upon its parts? Now this is a little tricky, and I'm going to try and make sure I do it right. No, the concept of car is independent of its parts. Otherwise, any being seeing the parts of a car would conceive of car, and they do not. The concept of car is not coming from the parts. That concept of the car is a mental function of mind, draping the concept of car on the parts. So the concept of car is independent of its parts. For the parts to be a car requires my projection of car. So we can scratch number 3 is, do the parts depend on the car? Is the car a support for the parts self-existently? No, not if the car is self-existent. To be a relationship of dependence, 2 things have to be distinct from one another. So number 4 is not true. Does the car possess its parts? There is no self-existent car that has any parts, because there's no self-existent car. So if there's no self-existent car, it can't have any parts. Is the car the parts altogether, i.e. the collection of parts? Can the parts make the car independent of your mind thinking of them as car? No. If so, everyone would have to see the car on those parts, and they don't. So, is the car the parts altogether, the collection of parts? No. Scratch 6. Car is a separate mental concept and comes from your karma and not from the parts. My mind is a separate mental concept from my karma. Is the car the shape or outline of the parts? No. not until you think of it as a car. So all 7 of these show that the mind is not dependent on its parts in the way we usually think. So why do we go through this analysis? It is life or death for each of us how we automatically see things as self-existent, and now how absurd it really is. By changing yours or my behavior now, we can change our future self and world from the impure, suffering 5 heaps into the paradise of an enlightened being. Once we are clear that no car could ever exist in any one of these 7 ways, for a car to arise, you must include as one of its parts your projection of the car onto the data. We can extend that to other beings all around us and stop reacting to them in a non-virtuous way. So let me repeat that. Once we are clear that the concept car no concept of car could ever exist in any one of these 7 ways, for a car to arise, you must include as one of its parts your projection. The concept car is your projection. It's made up from your thought process. Otherwise, all 7 of those previous statements would be true, and it's not the case. And basically, it's saying the car would be self-existent. Well, somehow this didn't get... Okay, how do things work? It seems kind of like a sarcastic answer, but it's true. You have the karma to make them work. What is the gaksha? For some reason we go through the gaksha again. And I think the reason we do that is because we think that things are self-existent. So the gotcha is that there's no self-existent pink 2-headed elephant in the room. So that's, which is impossible. The pink 2-headed elephant is impossible. So is something that's being self-existent. So we have to remind ourselves constantly of this, of the gotcha, so that we don't sink back into the self-existent lifestyle that we have. Because we spend our lives chasing it all day, every day, chasing after that self-existent thing we think will bring us our happiness, we are willing to act selfishly to get what we want or to avoid what we don't want, because we think things are self-existent. Now, we know they aren't, we're doomed, we're cursed, we know they aren't now. But until we have reached the obstacle of, what do they call it? The obstacle to omniscience on Bodhisattva Bhumi number 9. Deep down in our heart, no matter how we've seen emptiness, everything else, we still have this lingering doubt that things are self-existent. And that's the block to omniscience. Once you understand the how and the why, the past is your present, the present is your future, and it's not my karma but, it's my karma so. Once we understand those concepts, and once we really convince ourselves to constantly look at things not being self-existent, we're not going, until we do that, we're not going to reach the happiness that we want. This means there's no limit to what I can make happen, make appear, if I do the things now to make the karma of my future. So, can I make this into a diamond stick? Yes, if I can figure out the karma action for doing that. But just wishing it isn't going to make this into a stick of carbon, of diamond. Because our belief in self-existence is so ingrained in our minds that even when we comprehend the idea of emptiness intellectually, we are understanding it as a self-existent thing, which is a complete misunderstanding of it. Emptiness appears to be self-existent, but it too is empty. But it's not that it does not exist. Seeing emptiness, understanding emptiness, is also a projection forced by our karma, which is why we teach and study and meditate on it so much, so we can see it in the future. Likewise with karma. If karma were self-existent, it could never be purified. If it was self-existent, I'd add it couldn't be ripened. But it can be. Further, if the principle of karma were self-existent, then everyone would believe in it, and they do not. Until you identify the things you thought were there, you cannot recognize that it doesn't exist. Another way to look at emptiness is to investigate the way things really happen, which would be to investigate dependent origination. Studying and understanding the way things really happen, the three main explanations are through the schools. Things exist because they depend on their causes and conditions. The causes and conditions for an oak tree would be an acorn, soil, and sun. This is the view of the functionalist, which is comprised of three schools, the Abhidharma, logic, and mind only. Trees are not self-existent because they depend on their causes and conditions, water, sunlight, and fertilizer. This is all true, but it's not going to help us get enlightened. Things exist because they depend on their parts. This is the view of the Madhyamika independent school, Svatantrika. Madhyamika Svatantrika, which is comprised of the the lower half. Boy, this is a mess. For some reason, this is an unedited copy I sent. Svetlana, I'll send you the right copy. This view is superior to a number one above because it explains why things that exist, which don't depend on a cause, i.e. space, but still have dependent origination in the sense of being dependent on their parts. This explains the existence of things that do not have causes, but will still not take me to total enlightenment. Now, things exist merely in dependence upon that you think of the collection of the parts in a certain way, which is forced on you by your past actions. This is the ultimate meaning of dependent origination. This is the view of the highest school, which is comprised of the Madhyamika Prasangika. Things exist because they depend on your looking at the parts and thinking of them in a certain way, because your karma is forcing you to do so. So, I wanted to go to the homework now. Let me see if I can. Oh, okay. I will turn off the slideshow and I will put up hang on a minute here. There it is. Oh, come on, computer. There we go. Okay. Now, I'm not Are you seeing it? Am I still sharing? No. Okay. Here we go. Okay, what screen? Here I'm on screen 3. So I want to go through the homework for class 8 because I did such a miserable job with the wrong slides. So class 8, give the name of the proof we're going to use to examine the true nature of causes. Explain the meaning of the name and then describe the reasoning by giving the relevant 4 lines from the root of wisdom. Now most of this is in your reading, and you should also be doing the reading, but I wanted to go over this anyway. Let me see if I can shrink this down. There we go. Okay. The proof is called the sliver of diamond. One of the qualities of emptiness is that it resembles a diamond, and that is an ultimate, as a diamond is in hardness. All emptiness share the exact same nature, as do all cases of the smallest bit of diamond. They are all still pure diamond, no more or less. And all cases of emptiness are pure emptiness, no more, no less. The first chapter of the Root of Wisdom describes the proof as follows. Things grow neither from themselves nor from something else, nor do they grow from both, nor also without any cause at all. There is no working thing at all in any place at all, which ever grew in any way at all. This is all referring to things self-existently. Why is it more difficult to understand the emptiness of causation, why things work, than the general emptiness of ourself and parts, which we've talked about before? It requires us to understand the very way in which things in the world work is completely different from what we've always thought of. All events and objects are caused only by a shift in our projections, not by some external self-existent causes. Give a general description of the object which the middle way denies. That is, describe what is that emptiness is empty of. And this is the gotcha, which we've described before. Give the famous line from the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, which expresses the importance of understanding the object which we deny. I tried to find this in my copy of Master Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva's Way of Life, and I could not find this verse. It doesn't mean it wasn't there. It means the translation was quite a bit different. So one would never be able to grasp how something was devoid of being a thing without encountering that thing it was, which one imagined it to be. So why does Master Shantideva bring up the object which the middle way denies at this point in the presentation of emptiness? The opposing school has made the claim that the state of mind, since the state of mind which perceives emptiness intellectually is itself being deceived, then it must be mistaken, and emptiness must be incorrect. The middle way, though, answers that it's perfectly reasonable for a state of mind to be deceived, seeing its object, seeing empty in itself, in a deceptive way, and still be validly establishing the truth of emptiness. In fact, when we first go through the process of imagining the thing we deny, and then perceiving intellectually how it could never exist, our tendency to see things as self-existent is still asserting itself. Our conception of what emptiness is like is therefore deceptive, in that emptiness appears to our initial understanding as being self-existent. But this does not mean that emptiness is self-existent, in which case it would have to not exist at all, and the opponent would be correct. In short, even emptiness is empty of any self-existence. Now, I don't think my notes didn't cover consider all inner and outer working things. None of them exist truly, because they occur in dependence upon other things. They are, for example, like a reflection in a mirror. My notes didn't go through that, and my wife's notes didn't go through that. Describe the three different interpretations of what dependent origination means. The functionalist group, meaning those of the middle way school on down, hold that things are dependently originating when they depend on causes and conditions. The independent group from the middle way school holds that things are independently originating when they depend on their parts. It's more comprehensive, but it still doesn't cover because it covers unchanging objects, but it still isn't sufficient to get us to see become totally enlightened. The necessity group of the middle way school holds that things are dependently originating when they depend on a projection forced on us by our past karma and causing us to interpret collections of parts or raw data in a certain way. This explanation is immediately applicable to understanding how to reach nirvana and enlightenment, since we understand the exact method for changing our future reality. What would be a good way to describe the object we deny in the case of the proof of the emptiness of causes, which began our presentation of this 8th class? It would be anything that caused another thing to happen, or anything that did anything at all, because it had caused it to do so in an external, self-existent way, rather than due to a shift in our projections forced on us by our karma. Well, what can I say? Maybe my medication, not being on my medication, did have an effect on my brain. I apologize for the sending the wrong file, and I apologize for the confusion this class brought to our teachings. Hopefully class 9 will get back on track. This is the first time I've had a totally lousy class, and I really am apologetic. Okay, so we'll see everybody on Monday. It'll be class 9. We're almost done with this course. Making me kind of sad. Oh, I did get my bike, and we put it together, and I rode it this morning, and it's wonderful. I'm going to have my wife take a picture of me on it out in the street tomorrow. But I'll send everybody a thank you, maybe today or certainly tomorrow. So thank you all who contributed and had good wishes for me to get the bike. I'm really looking forward to constant exercise and getting myself back in some kind of physical condition and mental. Okay, let's dedicate. Again, I apologize for this class. It's totally beneath my level of teaching, and I am ashamed of it, but it was better to teach the class than to not. And I will send you the correct course notes, provided I didn't erase them. Okay, here's our dedication. May the source of benefit and
Видимо, может, интернет опять, да, отключился? Дорогие, я не поняла, за что Лама Сумати извинялся, ведь класс был хороший.
Ну, можно сделать, наверное, посвящение. Спасибо, Рета, дорогая, за перевод. Можно сделать посвящение, наверное. Если хотите, вы можете прочитать. Мгм.
Сегодня в присутствии Будды я порождаю ум для полного пробуждения во благо всех живых существ. Пока остается пространство, пока остаются живые существа, до тех пор пусть останусь и я, чтобы рассеять страдания мира. Пусть все живые существа обретут счастье, причины счастья, и пусть я помогу им достичь этого. Пусть все живые существа будут свободны от страданий, причин страданий, и пусть я помогу им достичь этого. Пусть все живые существа никогда не будут отделены от высшего блаженства, лишенного страданий, пусть я помогу им достичь этого. Пусть все живые существа обретут покой и великой беспристрастности, свободны от привязанности и отвращения, и пусть я помогу им достичь этого. О Гуру, Будды и Бодхисаттвы, о Тара, Мать всех нас, пожалуйста, услышьте то, что я сейчас скажу из глубины своего сердца. Всматривайте за Тензином Гетсо, защитником страны снегов, тот, кто одного вкуса с Валактишварой, направьте его и защитите его. Пусть он живет долго, чтобы принести освобождение своему народу и дхарму всем живым существам. Пусть все его цели и желания будут достигнуты. Благодаря этой заслуге пусть я вскоре достигну просветленного состояния Гуру Будды, чтобы я смог освободить всех живых существ от их страданий. Пусть драгоценный ум Бодхи еще нерожденный возникнет и растет. Пусть будучи рожденным не убывает, а увеличивается вечно все больше. Пусть источник блага и добра, дарма, распространяется, расширяется. Пусть существа, поддерживающие дарму, имеют отличное здоровье. Пусть источник счастья и благополучия для всех воплощенных существ, дарма, преподанная Буддами, всегда возрастает. Пусть заслуги моей жизни, моя практика станут во благо всем живым существам, без исключения. О гуру, Будды, пожалуйста, послушайте, что я сейчас скажу. Точно так же, как все предыдущие сугаты породили ум просветления и практикуют в соответствии с предписанием Бодхисаттвы, так я тоже должен ради принесения пользы всему живущему породить бодхичитту и следовать ее предписаниям. Чистотой силы моих намерений, силой благословения тех, кто так ушел, силой сферы пустоты, пусть все цели, которые у меня могут быть, и все мои желания, какими бы они ни были, сбудутся с совершенной легкостью. Пусть во всех моих жизнях я никогда не буду жить отдельно от моих совершенных лам. Пусть я греюсь в лучах славы Дharмы. Пусть я в совершенстве пройду каждый уровень и путь, и достигну тогда быстро места, где я сам стану тем, кто держит алмаз. Да. Если это правда, что мы с вами искренне хотели быть рядом с учителем и слушали его учения, и мы через него слушали всех учителей, то пусть то, ради чего мы пришли на это занятие, пусть все сбудется во благо всех живых существ для всех и каждого из вас. Ом Ахунг. Напишите ему, что мы завершили занятие, потому что он совсем расстроился. Скажите, что все было нормально, он просто почему-то, для него оно было как-то по-другому.
Светуль, ты напишешь?
Да,
Да,
пишите.
да.
Спасибо
Хорошо.
большое. Спасибо, Арет, огромное.
Спокойного дня, спокойного вечера.
Спокойного
Я не
дня.
знаю, что у вас там день, ночь. Все было спокойно.
Спасибо большое,
Всего
Радик.
доброго.
До
Спасибо
свидания.
всем. Спасибо, что пришли. Спасибо.